You got mail?
Hi, my name is Jill Beeler, and I'm going to tell you about tongue rings today. A tongue ring is a metal bar with 2 balls on the end. I've had mine for about 10 years and up. Normally I wear a size 2, but I took it out when I was pregnant, so my size of my hole shrunk. So now I'm sizing myself back up again. I'm going to tell you about different sizes, colors, and styles. Then I'm also going to show you some tongue rings, and then I'm going to tell you about some history. The smallest gauge you can get is a 16 gauge. Not a lot of jewelry is made for this size because it's not a real popular size because the hole can close up so much faster. The next size is a 14 gauge. Most people are pierced with this size. And it's also, like I said, it's the most popular size. A lot of people wear this size, and a lot of your jewelry, colors, and styles. There's all kinds of colors and all kinds of different styles that you can get. The next size is a 12 gauge. There's also the 10 gauge, the 8 gauge, and the 6 gauge. All the sizes that I told you about so far, when you think about sizes, those are one size each. Even though it's a double, like it's a 10 and a 12, technically it's just one size jump when you're jumping from size to size. Usually you only have to wait a month in between sizes. The next size is a 4 gauge. There's also the 2 gauge, the 0 gauge, and the double 0 gauge. These 4 sizes have 2 size jumps in between them. And depending on how your tongue does with changing sizes, you may even have to get your tongue stretched, and it looks like a nail that they stick down through your tongue to stretch your tongue out, and then they stick the rod up through the back of it. It hurts. For these sizes, you normally have to wait about 2 months in between. These sizes are also, the last 4 that I mentioned, are also for people who don't really want to hide it. It's more for people that want to show it off. And also, there's not a lot of jewelry options. It's usually, the most that I've found is, you have a few plastic ones, but most of them are solid stainless steel, or solid black or solid blue. Next, I'm going to tell you about getting pierced. I was 23 when I got pierced. It was $75, and I went with a couple of friends. At that time, it was starting to become very popular. And on the news, they were just starting to talk about how they sterilized their equipment, which, to me, that was a good thing. I went in with friends and got pierced. What they have you do first is they have you sign off on the paperwork so that they don't get in trouble, obviously. Then they talk about how to clean it. You have to use mouthwash every time after you eat. No matter if you eat or if you drink, you have to use mouthwash afterwards. Plus, in addition to that, you have to do it at least 3 times a day. With that, when you first start out, you can't use straws anymore. You can't do gum unless you take out your jewelry. You're going to be eating lots and lots of ice probably for the next 6 weeks because of your swelling on your tongue. Now, some people that could be different depending on how much your tongue swells up. What they do is they put a triangle clamp on your tongue, and it flattens out your tongue flat. And the clamp actually looks like a pair of tongs that has like a rubber band around it to hold the pressure on your tongue. And that, to me, hurt worse than the actual piercing, because they do the piercing so quick, but they leave the clamp on there long enough where it actually hurts worse. With me, they had to pierce my tongue at an angle because the arteries under your tongue, if they pierce one of those, you could bleed to death. The needle that they put the jewelry, or they pierce you with, has a hole in it, and they stick the jewelry up through into that needle, so that way when they're pulling the needle out, the jewelry goes up into the hole, and that way you you don't bleed more. The jewelry that you get, the first piece of jewelry is usually, like I said, it's longer. It's normally a 14 gauge and it's usually 7/8 of an inch long. Your normal jewelry is about 5/8 of an inch long. Now I've heard that there's smaller ones and there's all, like I said, there's different styles. You can find lots of different styles out there. After they got my jewelry in, then they sent me off to get ice, and normally they don't let you sit down and wait a long time. They may let you sit down maybe a couple minutes if you're lightheaded, but normally they send you off and let you get ice right away. Because the more ice that you eat during that first few days, the less pain and swelling is what you'll have. The next few days I wondered if it was really worth it, because I was swollen and in pain for the next 6 weeks, and there were days that I had to go through where I would be in so much pain that I wondered if it was really worth it. The drawbacks to it is it could break your teeth. It is like a little hammer in your mouth, and you basically if you eat something and you crunch down on it, then it could shatter your teeth, and then you wouldn't have those teeth anymore. But it's something you have to make sure that it's something that you really want to do before you do it. The place that I normally went to get jewelry, it's actually online, and you can get it usually between $5 and $6 for a piece of jewelry. It's called freakrings.com. They have a vast selection. They also have a large selection for the large gauge like I like, and normally you can't find a whole lot of those out there. Some history on the tongue rings that I found was from Body Piercing History and Tongue Rings Guide. I found there was 5 tribes that used to pierce tongues: the Aztecs, the Mayas, the Haidea, the Kawakula, and the Tling, yeah, that word. They pierced their tongues, and they didn't put jewelry in. They pierced their tongues to let the blood flow, so that the shamans and the priests could communicate with the gods. But nowadays, it's more popular to get your tongue pierced and to wear jewelry. So, in essence, it's more a piece of bling than anything else. It's just like another piece of jewelry to everybody. And that is basically what a tongue ring is. Thank you. This is a picture of some tongue rings. Now I don't have all the sizes here, but this is the 10 gauge. This is the 14 gauge. This is the 10 gauge. You've got the 8 gauge, the 6 gauge, the 4 gauge, and then the 2 gauge. And this is the one that I normally get. And that is a pretty thick rod. And that's your tongue rings. Thank you.